There are different understandings of that. There are people who say, hey, the service design stuff really working well for improving customer experiences. And that's great. And we just use it for that. Other companies say this is really cool to improve our internal processes. And it's already great that it's used for that. And others say, oh, we can really think about our whole company with these tools from service design and mixing it with more of them. On the SDN conference in Canada, there was a talk about the maturity of service design. And they have a model also, which is quite interesting. In some companies, it's just, oh, we're going to explore it, try it out. We try a few methods. Then others are just at a stage later where they have already a track record of trying it in a few different projects, and it shows that it works. And then we're going to scale it, and we're going to make it something that is not just in one department or in a lab, but it's used within the company in general. And then it's really something that is part of the language, where it's just second nature of the culture. And then obviously you get to the stage where it's really thriving and it goes even beyond that company. So the question is to detect how mature a company is on this service design stuff. If they use the term, it's already a good sign of maturity. If you wanted to use a lot of service design methodology is a new job, looking for these terms is already a signal of do they understand it or not. But there is a big caveat here, which is it depends on the country, because not every country uses the terms in the same way. For example, Finland, the UK are really mature in the term of language. They use service design a lot as a language. But if you take Switzerland, it's not a term that we use so much. We tend to use other terms like customer experience, innovation, design thinking, as other terms, but basically doing a lot of the same stuff than service design. Personally, I don't care if people call it service design or not, as long as the type of project and the type of work has the mindsets.
I think one of the first things the book, This is Service Design Doing, mentions, like, call it whatever you want.
My work, people call me the sticky note guy. They don't know what I'm doing. They say, this is Mr. Sticky Notes. We don't know exactly what he does, but he's a magician with sticky notes. And it's okay. If this is the best word that they find to explain it, it's okay. I don't need to school them and say, no, what we're doing here is service design. It has a history, and please be respectful of the history. That's not a problem. It's like when people mispronounce my name, I'm not offended. But again, we don't all agree on that. So there are people who are very much like, you should use the proper term, and the proper term is that. But then you create these religion wars where people say, this is UX, no, this is service design. And then when you look at the history of terms, it's always funny. Because, for example, if you look at the term UX, Don Norman, one of the first definitions he used for UX is what I would say is service design, because he includes not only digital stuff, he says all the support, the services, and all of that, it's creating all these interactions. So usually when people fight about terms, there is a bit of a funny thing when you tell them, maybe you should go back in history a few years to see how the term has evolved and which version of the term are you using, or to who do you reference. But that's a little bit of parenthesis. But if you find a company that says, hey, we're looking for a service designer to transform the way we do business in general, then you see that there is a high maturity and that you might do much work there. But again, depends on what the company needs and what the culture of the company is, because there are so many ways to arrive to a solution. Service design is only one of them, which is, I think, the humblest thing to say. And we practice that one. And I think no service designer practices only service design. It's just one tool in the toolbox. And therefore, there are places where you can use it because people are willing to use it. And there are places where it doesn't make sense because people just don't need it. And it's okay.
It's reassuring in a way, because you're not always needed. I see some sectors are more service design mature than others. Many of these case studies outline the fact that there is a terminology, there is a culture there already, and they already experimented something. And most of all, there is some buy-in from the managers, from someone who is sitting up when this is happening. So because at the end, it also involves cultural shifts and cultural changes.